Good morning, everyone. A good Sunday. It's May 31st. I hope everybody had a wonderful Yontif and Shabbos. The weather cooperated, and though we couldn't be in shul, I hope that it was enjoyable nonetheless. I do look forward to later this week. Again, we're going to be rolling out the information about how things are going to work, but later this week on June 4th, we will be able to resume having services in one form or another here in shul. That's very, very exciting. As I said, that information will be forthcoming. Please continue to daven for Refuah Shalema for Ivan Sovel, Mordechai ben Elka, Rafal Zev ben Rickel, Gittel Basara, Noah Alice Batlilach Esther, and Razel Basara Refuah Shalema, and all those around us who need healing. Please continue to add them in your prayers. Again, the prayer is found at the bottom with the names at the bottom of this email. Today we have another special Sunday dedication of a Devar Torah, and it's in honor of a very, very special young woman. Today we're celebrating the bat mitzvah of Gracie Sachs. Now, there's a lot of adapting that has to take place given the age of Corona. So when I was sitting here contemplating what to do during Corona while I was using my Sachs Orthodontics stress ball, and I was taking a drink out of my Summit Dental Partners mug. I don't know what you call these things, but everybody has them. I want to really give honor to Gracie, because her bat mitzvah was supposed to be on Shavuos, and of course, given the current situation, it didn't happen. So in a short while, we're actually going to be having a custom-made service on Zoom, because the whole world is on Zoom these days. And Jill and Eric have done a wonderful job in raising their fine, well-mannered, beautiful children, Kanai Nahara, and they've also spent time here in our shul pouring their hearts out about what that means to them to be able to raise children. And that's something that I don't think anybody who was here that day or in our shul who knows them will ever forget. Perhaps one of the greatest talks we've ever heard in the halls, in the walls of this holy synagogue. But today's about Gracie, and Gracie was studying and reading from Megillat Ruth. Of course, we read the story of Ruth on Shavuos, and I wanted to just share a brief insight that from Rabbi Jonathan Sachs about the reading of Ruth on Shavuos. And there's two factors I think that really play into why this is appropriate specifically today on the day after Shavuos. Because Ruth is, you might call it a love story. Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs, is also a love story. But it's a story of commitment, of Ruth who decides to cling to her mother-in-law. And it says, V'Ruth Davka Ba. And she decides not to abandon her. She decides not to leave her. She decides to stick with the plan. And then she decides to really go and find the Goel, find the Redeemer in the family. And this union that takes place is a very, very holy union, of course, as we read at the end of the story, which leads to the dynasty of David HaMelech. King David comes about as a result of the union of Ruth and Boaz. And Rabbi Sachs says that it's, of course, appropriate that on the holiday of Shavuos, where we have the union between God and the Jewish people, why not celebrate also another holy union between Boaz and Ruth, between Boaz and Ruth, who represent everything, every relationship that is holy, and it's all about commitment. So how appropriate for a bat mitzvah when a young woman, she affirms her commitment to the laws of Sinai. She recognizes who she is and what her responsibilities are. But I want to take this a step further, because one word that is quite predominant throughout the entire Megillah, I believe it appears no less than 24 times in one form or another, is the word goel, which means redeeming, or a redeemer. We talk about the person in the family that has the rights to redeem, etc., etc. And when we talk about a young woman and her qualities, we say there are many redeeming factors. And indeed, if anyone ever met Gracie for 2 seconds, you would see tremendous redeeming character. And especially, I know firsthand, because of what was anticipated and what is taking place, you can imagine how difficult that might be for a young man or a young woman. that when you have expectations of how you're going to celebrate, when things are planned a year ahead in advance, and then God says, yeah, well, your plans don't mean much. But the ability to roll with the punches and the ability to do so, and very much pun intended, gracefully, to do so in a way that gives parents and gives rabbis a tremendous amount of nachas. That's something that is truly to be commended. That is something that's an attitude that we should all emulate. So Gracie, mazel tov to you. I'm so proud of everything you've accomplished, and I look forward to seeing all that you have yet to accomplish, which I know is much. Jill and Eric, you've done a tremendous job. Keep up the good work. Jill, you do everything. Eric, you just be quiet. That's kind of how it works, right? But everything you do, not only for your children, but for our shul, for our community, you make us all look beautiful in one form or another. But you also make us feel beautiful because of who you are and your wonderful character. So I hope that you enjoy all this nachas. And Gracie, I promise there will come a time when we can celebrate and circumstances will allow us to celebrate in person. And until then, we wish you mazel tov. We are so, so proud of you. And this today is for you. Have a great day.